truly suspect that they are being taken there so that they can have sex with rich international businessmen. There are little girls that are on all sorts of substances who are being told to do things with the boys there. Some of them think they're doing something good, they think they're earning money, they think they're consenting to it, but they come home feeling violated and dirty. When I used to work in these homes, and I worked in these homes in Hounslow in particular, you're told our accountability ends at the point of reporting. As long as you've reported the child missing, as long as you called EDT and you've also reported it to the police, that's where your responsibility ends. I didn't feel it was enough to just report a child missing. I'd be in contact with the child. I'd say, where are you? What's going on? I'd pay extra attention. I'd listen in when they're on their phone calls. And I remember sitting on the neighbourhood safety board. I remember mentioning that we're consistently reporting these children missing and we know where they are. It was part of contextual safeguarding. I specifically named the hotels and the police officer that was there got really defensive and said, these placements are paid so much money that they should be able to handle this better, and it's not just a matter of just reporting and giving it and blaming us as the police. There's a lot of blame. All these institutions like to blame each other, and our accountability ends here and our accountability ends there. But ultimately what that does is for the young girls that I know, and I should say boys as well, they are being told by the groomers that essentially no one actually cares what happens to you.
You just mentioned a road where you said the police officer was being defensive. Can you tell me what was going on in those hotels? Can you give me details of the sort of thing that was happening to children in London?
This is organised crime, because what would happen is now across London, there are things that are called trap houses, and young children will be tricked or coerced into going to these trap houses. And in those trap houses, there are little girls that are on all sorts of substances who are being told to do things with the boys there, who are assaulted in these places, and who are used as a tactic to recruit other boys to join the gang, because they're brought to these trap houses and they're recorded doing inappropriate things, which they are then blackmailed into doing. So that's how county lines kind of intersects with child sexual exploitation. But I've always felt that what was happening in Hounslow in those hotels was a bit more sinister, because some hotels would see the bookings being made by an adult, because it has to be made by an adult, and then they were looking the other way, whilst children, young children, we're talking about 15, 14-year-olds, are being brought into this room, loud music. You can imagine what damage was being done to the property, and the girls I'd work with would say it was parties. It's a motive, is the language that we use. It's where the motive is. That's where everyone's hanging out. We get drunk, we be silly, we have dances, but it turns into more of a bit of an orgy situation. All the children that are being taken there, some of them think they're doing something good, they think they're earning money, they're being told that they're in love, or whatever they have been told, they think they're consenting to it, but they come home feeling violated and dirty. I've heard instances where there was older men that had money that were being brought into this place, that were actually coming to these places. And I think the location is sinister for that reason, because the girls would say it wasn't all young people. There are some people that have money that come to these places. I truly suspect that they are being taken there so that they can have sex with rich international businessmen. Gift girls and all these other terms, they just say the same things. They're a commodity. They're being commoditized, and they think that they are a tool at their disposal. I think the law, the way it's set up right now, protects the perpetrators more than it does the victims. What the perpetrators know very, very well is that if they have sex with a child between the ages of 13 to 15, that they can get away with arguing implied consent. So the type of girls that they are targeting have never had trauma therapy. They don't understand about attachment. They are very vulnerable and they are coerced into thinking that they love these people, or they've consented, or they're doing it to make money, when really they are being abused and tricked. You'd be very surprised how normalized it was to have relationships with guys that have cars that were older and see that as a cool thing and it just be overlooked. These groomers, they don't just come on all aggressive. They are able to meet the needs of these children. They make them feel seen. They're there to listen to them. Children in care are so isolated. They think they're falling in love, but it's because everyone else turned their back.
What sort of age gap are we talking? What sort of things are we talking about?
14, 15, so we're talking year 9, year 10. Being in relationships with guys who are in their mid-20s, 30s even, but they look young, and everyone seems to see and turn a blind eye.
Why do you think there's a disconnect there? Because most people would turn around and say, that guy's a paedophile.
I think the disconnect is that the groomers have become very good at picking their targets. The most insecure, the one that doesn't seem to have anyone looking out for her. A lot of these children who come to the attention of authorities for criminal activities and such, when you read their records, the fact that they were sexually assaulted or exploited at some point is often just a footnote. It's not the focus of why they have to deal with them. And that just shows how lack of recording and communication between the different authorities adds to this problem, and why it seems so under the carpet when actually it's in your face if you want to look for it. It really breaks my heart when I see someone who maybe used to work with a child that I used to work with, and I ask them, and I say to them, whatever happened to so-and-so? And they'll be like, oh, he ended up going to prison, or she ended up having kids and moving out, or she's in another abusive relationship. It just breaks my heart because I guess I'm a mom as well, and I see how much it takes to raise a child, and the fact that these kids have been subjugated to what they have, they didn't have a chance. It's similar in the sense that the girls were also known to the authorities, they were known to social care, some of them were in care, so it's similar in that sense. In those areas, in those particular cases, the perpetrators might have been, and what the world wants to focus on is their ethnicities. But in London, the victims I work with, they're from every culture. And it's not one race preying on another. It's more, these are the girls that are vulnerable. They're the easy targets. They're in care, you know, they're not going to be looked after. I'm of the opinion that if we're ever really going to resolve this problem, we need to address the data gaps. Because if you don't have the clear picture, then how are you actually going to address the issues? Right now, there's a big denial because no one wants this stain to be marked upon them. Each local authority will say, it's not just a problem with us, it's a tri-borough, it's a cross-borough. And the police will say this and everyone will say that. Right now, they're just passing the ball around because no one wants to be stained by the scandal. But ultimately, until we know the facts, we're not ever going to be able to protect the victims.
What do you think of the Met Police and the Mayor's claims that there are no reports, no indication of these types of grooming gangs in London?
Of course, they're going to say that because everything comes back to data. So from their position, where's the evidence? If the evidence is not being recorded properly, then it's easy to deny and be pushed to the side. So I understand why they're saying that. I just don't think it's a good enough excuse. And Baroness Casey's report, if her 12 recommendations are taken seriously, that could be the end to that problem. And the true reality will be known and no one can deny it.